Welcome back. A more restructured Blue Hotel is the aim for the now vacated accommodation. Minister for Tourism Dominic Fede asserts that the hotel, which has now been liquidated, is looking to be fitted with the best quality replacement investor. Solange Alfred reports.
The now liquidated Blue Hotel has left many employees without gainful employment, whilst Minister for Tourism Dominic Fede believes that the 70-room accommodation does not impact greatly on the decline of the overall tourism product. He stated that it is nonetheless still a great loss for the island. Fede went on to express his concern for the now jobless employees and affirmed his confidence in the caliber of interested parties looking to purchase the hotel.
I think one or two employees unemployed is one or two too many. So what we've got to do is to make sure that we get this back on track. I'm confident the names that I'm hearing that have placed bids for the acquisition potentially of the hotel in the future are very, very well regarded companies, and they are reputable. And I'm very confident that we will restructure this as a private sector and as a public sector to make sure that we bring the hotel back on track.
The minister says the abrupt closure is beyond the control of the government. Even so, he sought to offer some measure of comfort to the former employees of Blue Hotel, stating that the level of interest to acquire the property is high.
The assurance I can give them is that the number of companies that are bidding to take over the hotel are very, very serious companies with well-regarded reputations. And I believe that very soon they will have a replacement management team that is very serious.
Blue Hotel abruptly closed operations on Saturday, 24th November, when staff were informed that their services would no longer be needed. The SLTA, SLHTA, and the Ministry of Tourism have initiated a dialogue on the matter to determine how best to assist the employees. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Thank you, Solange. Castries Central MP Sarah Flood-Bobra made an impassioned plea regarding proper housing for citizens and her constituents in particular during Tuesday's sitting of the Parliament. She says the issue of housing coupled with employment is a prime focus for her during her tenure as MP of the Castries Central constituency.
70 years after the Declaration of Human Rights, there is a section of society for whom housing has never been accessible. It is a sobering fact put forward by Castries Central MP Sarah Flood-Bobra, who says the right to decent housing is far too often overlooked. She urged her fellow members of Parliament to actively pursue affordable housing as a fundamental human right for all their constituents.
The quality of housing that people in my constituency, and I'm sure around St. Lucia, have to endure, it really, Mr. Speaker, is very sad. And we're talking about people in all walks of life. We're talking about teachers, policemen, civil servants, the staff who serve us, who work tirelessly, those we push hard to deliver results, those who prepare the documents on all the works and programs that we work on. Some of them, when you see the housing conditions, it is sad.
Flood-Bobra says while she has heard of many low-cost housing projects under governments that have come and gone, low cost is a very relative thing. The reality, she says, is that decent housing remains prohibitively high for many. The MP says it is imperative that the current government take stock of the crisis situation as it relates to housing and move with alacrity to make decent, low-cost housing a viable option for citizens. As MP for Castries Central, she says this is her central focus.
We have some ideas in Castries Central, Mr. Speaker, which I've already been discussing with the Minister of Housing. I'm hoping we can do a pilot to do that. And this is really important because if we are really talking about national development, housing is related to education, housing is related to health, housing is related to productivity. We can't grow this country unless we provide decent housing. The social science data shows it. Children who live in poor housing have more respiratory problems. They don't do well at school. How poor housing is linked to child abuse. A lot of children in our country are abused, are exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to. Their innocence is robbed early on because of poor housing.
The unavailability of decent low-cost housing and the prohibitive cost of available housing has over the years led to the proliferation of squatting. Government attempts at removing these squatter settlements often lead to homelessness and strife for squatters.
The police commissioner has been speaking about missing the aim to keep homicides for this year under 25. At a recently held press conference, Mosheri addressed the issue of the increase in crime and reassured citizens that the police force will not be bullied by criminals. Solange Alfred tells us more.
Safety and security is being assured to members of the public by Police Commissioner Severin Mosheri. The rising crime on the island has provoked the Royal St. Lucia Police Force to up the ante to ensure that criminal elements are deterred from committing violent crimes. At a recent press briefing, Police Commissioner Mosheri spoke about missing the target of no more than 25 homicides for this year. As of December 12th, the number of homicides recorded stands at 42. The homicide target was not the only target that the RSLP was unable to meet.
Earlier this year, we spoke of keeping the number of homicides at a particular level. That we have not been able to achieve. We've also had some targets in terms of keeping some of the other serious crimes at a particular rate. We've not been able to achieve most of this, so we felt the need to review our strategies and our plans.
As stated by Mosheri, the police force plans to implement a more aggressive approach to crime. The commissioner stressed that as part of this new hard-hitting strategy to crack down on crime, the focus will be evenly spread out to all areas of society.
The Criminal Code of St. Lucia makes provisions for the level of force that is being used in different circumstances. And if you create the atmosphere and the situation for force to be used, we will surely use force where it is necessary, even if we have to move to the highest level of force required and provided for by the Criminal Code of St. Lucia. One of the other things I need to say is that the time has come for us to deal with not only crime on the streets and not only crimes in the ghettos, but crime across St. Lucia. So whether you be in high office, whether you be law enforcement officer, whether you be politician, pastor, teacher, priest, the law will apply to everyone.
This new aggressive approach will include a more visible police force on patrol to hinder criminal activity on island. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has confirmed that 17 homicide cases have been solved for the year to date. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
One former government minister and MP is expressing concerns over the high level of crime which has been sweeping over the nation over the past few months.
The island has so far experienced 42 homicides. The festive season has brought with it an onslaught of violent crimes. The situation is disturbing for former Grosley MP and Minister Emma Hippolyte. She laments a lack of compassion in the country, particularly among the younger generation. She says this has caused a breakdown and deterioration of relations within communities and is impacting the very fiber of society.
There is an absence of love in this community, and I'm appealing to our young people to show a little bit of love, because we don't respect life at all, and that is unfortunate.
Hippolyte says at this present time, women are seemingly more on the receiving end of the violence in more ways than one. She's championing the cause of vulnerable women who suffer violence and are brutally slain. She advocates that crime be tackled head-on for the safety of all citizens, but in particular the vulnerable sections of society, such as women and youth.
I think we just have to pay a lot of attention to the violence that is happening in our country generally. Our women are getting the brunt of it more on a regular basis, whether it is domestic violence and things like that. But when you see the type of crime that is happening now, you need to question what is happening to our young men. I'm appealing to them. There must be a soul somewhere. Something has gone completely wrong with our young people, and I believe that we need to sit down with them to know how to deal with that hunger that seems to be showing itself everywhere.
The former MP's wish for the country is for citizens to have a peaceful and happy holiday season. It is a wish that is looking quite elusive given the current spate of crime.
Driving instructor Gabriel Descat has had it with pedestrians who cause more confusion than necessary when utilizing the pedestrian crossing. He says the level of due care and attention required when traversing any street is being ignored. He says if they're not racing across without looking, pedestrians are taking their cool time to get across.
You reach to the pedestrian, uncle. All you have to do is to wait. Stop. If the light not working, you wait for the vehicle to stop for you and then you walk across. But what they're doing, you're already approaching the pedestrian crossing. They run into cross before you. You that driving your vehicle, you already on the crossing, you know. They run into cross before you. Now that is chaos.
The driving instructor is urging all pedestrians to safeguard their lives and avoid forcing drivers to make an abrupt stop by rushing the crossing without looking. He says no one should wait until there is a catastrophe to modify their behavior in terms of road safety. This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. We have more news coming up after the break.